The US may be about to take action against Iran. While we were celebrating the Spring Festival, the Middle East was quite turbulent. According to a report by CNN on February 18th, the US military had prepared to launch an attack on Iran as early as this weekend. Although Trump has not made a final decision, one of his advisors revealed a crucial piece of information, stating that, "The boss has had enough. I believe the probability of military action in the coming weeks is as high as 90%. Why say this isn't just a bluff? Look at the military deployments. The current troop concentration in the Middle East by the U.S. military far exceeds that of the 12-day war last June. The USS Lincoln nuclear-powered aircraft carrier strike group has already mobilized, approaching the Iranian coast in the Arabian Sea, accompanied by 3 Arleigh Burke-class missile destroyers. Each vessel is loaded with Tomahawk cruise missiles, with a single missile having a range exceeding 1,600 kilometers, capable of covering the entire territory of Iran. More critically, the USS Ford, the world's largest and most advanced supercarrier, which had just participated in the attack on Venezuela in January this year, has also been ordered to depart from the Caribbean Sea toward the Middle East and is expected to arrive within 3 weeks. By then, the U.S. military will establish a devastating firepower group of 2 carrier strike groups in the Persian Gulf. This deployment scale is extremely rare in recent times, but aircraft carriers are just the tip of the iceberg. Reports indicate that over the past few weeks, more than 150 U.S. military transport aircraft have delivered weapons and ammunition to the Middle East, and within just the last 24 hours, an additional 50 F-35, F-22, and F-16 fighter jets have been dispatched to the region. The U.S. military has also redeployed tanker aircraft and fighter squadrons from bases in the UK, moving closer to the Middle East. New air defense missile systems have been deployed at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, and multiple units originally scheduled for rotation back home have also received extended deployment orders. In other words, the U.S. is no longer just posturing, but building a war machine brick by brick. So, the scale of this operation is vastly different from last June's Operation Midnight Hammer. The operation was essentially a raid, with B-2 stealth bombers taking off from the U.S. mainland, striking 3 nuclear facilities in Iran before withdrawing. The entire operation resembled a hit-and-run. But this time, the Pentagon is preparing for a large-scale military operation lasting several weeks, with targets no longer limited to nuclear facilities, but also including the headquarters of the Revolutionary Guard, missile bases, and security force facilities, even the symbolic goals of the regime. A Western insider put it more bluntly: the high-level discussions between the U.S. and Israel no longer revolve around whether to strike, but when to strike. If Israel directly engages in the war, the scale of this operation would make last year's 12-day war seem minuscule in comparison. Israel's role in this chess game is equally concerning. Netanyahu has made his stance clear. The U.S. has prepared to launch a severe and unprecedented strike against Iran, with intensity far exceeding that of last June. During his meeting with Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago last December, Trump had already pledged to support Israel in targeting Iran's ballistic missile facilities if negotiations failed. Currently, U.S. military and intelligence agencies are discussing how to provide Israel with aerial refueling to fly over the airspace of other countries. Wait for the specific support plan. In other words, the U.S.-Israel joint operation is no longer hypothetical, but already in the detailed planning phase. Facing such pressure, what is Iran doing? 2 words: preparing for war. The latest satellite imagery shows that Iran has constructed a concrete sarcophagus at the Parchin military base, fully covering the new facilities and then piling thick layers of soil on top. From the satellite view, it is already blended seamlessly with the surrounding terrain. The Isfahan nuclear facility is even more extreme, with all 3 tunnel entrances sealed off by backfilled soil, aiming to prevent airstrikes by U.S. forces or covert operations of special forces to seize enriched uranium. The tunnels near the Natanz nuclear facility are also being reinforced. U.S. and Israel security expert Albright succinctly pointed out that delaying negotiations serves a purpose. Over the past few weeks, Iran has been desperately burying its facilities. Soon it will become an entirely unrecognizable bunker. Militarily, Iran has entered its highest state of combat readiness. On February 16th, the Revolutionary Guards conducted a naval drill in the Strait of Hormuz, and satellite imagery also captured the movement of mobile missile launchers and the dispersed deployment of military aircraft at multiple bases, typical pre-war air defense measures. Iran's stance is extremely firm. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei stated on February 17 that the U.S. has failed to destroy Iran for 47 years and will fail again now. Another party directly warned that all U.S. military bases in the Middle East would become targets of retaliation if attacked. Iran's ballistic missiles have a range covering all U.S. bases in the region, and this is no empty talk. Last December, during the 12-day war, Iran once attacked the U.S. military base in Al Udeid, Qatar, with missiles. So, is there still any hope? Frankly, the prospects are slim. On February 17th, the U.S. and Iran held their second round of indirect talks in Geneva. While both sides claim to have made progress on the surface, the core disagreements remain irreconcilable. The U.S. stance is zero enrichment, and Trump explicitly stated that no uranium enrichment activities would be acceptable. Iran's bottom line is that peaceful use of nuclear energy is non-negotiable, and missile capabilities cannot be compromised. Vice President Vance spoke bluntly, stating that while some aspects of the talks went well, Iran clearly has not yet prepared to acknowledge the president's red lines. The U.S. has set 2 deadlines for Iran demanding the submission of detailed proposals. I wonder if anyone remembers that on June 19, 2021, the White House also imposed a 2-week window. Midnight Hammer will be launched 3 days later. What is the most dangerous now? It's the rapidly closing time window. The Winter Olympics will end in just a few days, and this global peace window has vanished. Ramadan has already begun. Middle Eastern allies warn that any action by the U.S. during Ramadan will be seen as provocation. Trump is about to deliver his State of the Union address, and his aides say it will mark the starting point of the midterm election agenda. All timelines converge, and the war may arrive faster and on a larger scale than most people realize. If the Strait of Hormuz were blocked, 1/5 of global oil trade would be cut off, causing international oil prices to skyrocket, and every ordinary person would feel the shockwaves from thousands of miles away. Looking back now, our Spring Festival, when streets and alleys across China are adorned with decorations, red lanterns, as the whole family sits together for the New Year's Eve dinner, fighter jets hover over the Persian Gulf, missile launchers move, and citizens of Tehran anxiously look up at the sky. Peace never falls from the sky. It requires strength to support and wisdom to maintain. When we feel at ease in the Chinese New Year, let's think about how precious this peace is in today's world.